Hi everybody, welcome back to Stories with A.G. Flitcher. This is part 2 of my first girlfriend, in which there will be 3 parts. As mentioned at the end of part 1, this will be about the lessons I learned from my first relationship. The first one being that I was right at the time that relationships take time and that you can't rush anything. When you rush things fall apart, you create distance between one another because they didn't take the time to actually get to know that person. There is such a thing as, the whole fool in love or love at first sight, but it doesn't mean that you know everything about that person. That's the danger of relationships being put in fast forward. You end up missing a lot of things. You notice that the person at the beginning of the relationship was different at the end because you only saw the surface of who that person was at the beginning, and that's why you have to take your time, and that it's okay. It's okay to take your time because that means that the love will grow with time and become deeper and deeper, and there was trust from beginning to end. That's just how it is for me. I mean, there were times where she just didn't want to hear it. Meaning, she didn't like me being honest and confronting her instead of just being happy in the relationship. It's not that she was not a fan of honesty, it's more that she just wanted to have a good time. And that meant no honest communication of the harder parts of the relationship. At least from my side. Because every time that I confronted her with something that I didn't like and that I wish would change, she would actually pout like a child. And that was the second lesson, is that I learned that communication is extremely important on both sides. It can't just be one person doing all of the honest talking, doing all of the not confronting, the honest discussions, because honest discussions in a relationship prevent repeated fights, repeated arguments. When you speak honestly and take your time in whatever argument you're in, that you don't just discuss what is bothering you, but why it bothers you and how can you come to an understanding. It just circles because you end up just fighting about what you want instead of how can we get both something out of this that will make our relationship much better and much healthier. So that was something that was a learning curve for me and her more so than me. At least that's how I saw it. I know that makes me sound like I'm saying I'm better than her. No, that's not what I'm saying. We were just different. We just had a different approach to growing up. For example, one time she was having some kind of family trouble, and I had just finished a karate class and was driving her home because she came with me, and she wanted to sleep over at my place, but because I was still living with my parents, that wasn't really permitted. She has her own place to live in with her family. So when I said that she couldn't sleep over, she actually started pouting and crying all the way to her place, and I said, I understand that you're going through a tough time, but you can't hide from whatever you're going through and just, you don't live here. First off, this is not my house, so I can't make that decision. If it was my place, yeah, fine. But that just wasn't the case. This other time, I confronted her about, like I mentioned in part 1, her not driving, and that I felt like I was a taxi. As soon as I started to talk about what was bothering me, she'd go, oh my god, here we go again. It's like, well, if it is here we go again, there must be a reason for that, don't you think? I mean, it's not me being um, the dad boyfriend. It's me just being honest about what is bothering me and hoping that you understand that and that you'll make changes. She didn't bother to get a car or a driver's license until we broke up. Like in the first long message of Facebook, she's like, "I'll get my driver's license. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll go to school." It's like, well, why after the relationship is over? Why not during? So, yeah. Third lesson. Even though you're building a relationship together, it's important to have your own life as an individual. Just because you're creating a life together does not mean that you do not have a life outside of the relationship. It is so exhausting for me to hear from anyone that they don't want to be in a relationship because they don't want to feel tied down or limited to the time they want to use to have the life that they want. First off, if you always felt tied down in a relationship, you are in the wrong relationship and you keep going to the wrong person. So that's just how I feel. I mean, building a life together is not about taking time from each other for the things that you want in your life. It's about having your own life and going after what you want while building. When I say building a life together, I don't mean your career and whatever. I mean just the trust you build together, the things you do outside of your own life to be together, to trust one another, to be supportive and caring and loving about each other. When you build a life together, it's about being there for one another, not about having the same life. That's just what makes sense to me. There was another one. There was another lesson. If you came out of a bad relationship, it's okay to be single for a while and figure out what you want, not just out of the next or actual relationship you end up in for the rest of your life, but also what you want out of life. Because normally, after our first relationship, you don't really know what you want out of a relationship because it was just the first one. Like, if you dated someone in high school, there's no way that you'll be in the relationship you've always wanted after that. You change over time. Everyone grows up, and that means you also want different things, and you maybe even evolve into a different person, and therefore want a different kind of person in your love life. Hell, you might you might realize that your sexuality is different, because when you're a teenager, you don't really know much about yourself because you're still growing mentally, you're still figuring out who you are, and if you do know who you are sexually at a young age, good for you. I'm really proud of you, and you should stick to that part of you, because love is love. You should not compromise your love just because of social normative exceptions. If you're pansexual, if you're gender fluid, if you're non-binary, if you're bi, gay, transgender, whatever, or straight, or it doesn't matter. What matters is that you love and understand who you are, and you will find someone that understands and appreciates who you are for who you are, not for what they want or what they know about you. Because here's the thing: when someone loves you, they love you for who you show them, like what you show them about yourself. We always believe that we are comfortable with who we are, But when it comes to how we present ourselves to others, it's never really the same as what we feel inside. I mean, there's so many things that we keep to ourselves because we know that it could rub someone the wrong way or change their perspective of you, and we want to protect that part of ourselves. There's a lot of things that we hide from others because it either scares us too much to say it out loud, or we just want to keep it for ourselves because we don't have to share everything with everyone. It's belongs to us. We only share what we need to or want to with that person. If you're in a committed relationship that you've been in years, you've probably told them many things that you've never told anyone. And that's awesome. But we still have things that we keep to ourselves. There is one more. There is one more lesson. I've been single for 5 years now, I think. At least it feels like 5 years. And the reason for that is not that I'm waiting for someone or that I'm super picky. It's more that I've been through so much crap, dating-wise, that I'm no longer chasing after love. I'm not really looking for it. It's not that I don't want it. It's more that because of that first relationship, all the freaking mayhem I went through and the miserable times, I really learned to be okay with being by myself and just being happy and going after what I want and being this very driven person. And that if I end up with someone, it won't be because I went looking for it. It will be because someone came into my life and saw what I was doing and how I was living life and how I think about things and loved it. And I loved them for their perspective. I don't know who that person is or when I'm going to meet them, but I'd rather have that. I'd rather have the wonderful surprise of who I end up with. Not just settle for someone I don't want. Settle for just being in a relationship. No, I want to be happy. I want to be with someone that makes me better. So, I think that's it. I can't really think of anything else. If you want to talk about your past relationship experiences, what you learned from them, and what you discovered about yourself through those relationships, please go ahead and share. Yeah. In part 3, I'm going to talk about what that relationship, and maybe others, inspired in my writing. So, look forward to that. Have a good day, and happy reading. See ya.